Okay. You ready?
Always ready.
3, 2, 1. Ooh, this your boy Will Jones, throwing North Point down, putting on the top, CrossFit 3.0, Coach Chris in the house. Talk to him, baby. Hey guys, Coach Chris from CrossFit 3.0. This is Will Jones, official, unofficial hype man of CrossFit 3.0, and now worldwide. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Hey, you got a promotion worldwide. That is, congratulations.
Well, thank you. It's my own world, so I make the most of it.
I'm glad I'm in it. So welcome to this podcast. This is what we're going to do with this. We call these quick pods. This is going to be a shorter podcast, somewhere around 15 minutes, we think.
We've got a timer going, so that's what we're aiming for.
Here's what we're going to do with this. We've got an event called the Crucible coming up. If you don't know what that is, we have another quick pod talking about what this is. But it's an endurance event. It is coming up in a little more than a week and a half. Some people will be spending time over 24 hours. Some of us will be doing 12-hour endurance event. And every hour on the hour, we're going to go out and do some mileage.
Yep.
Get the mileage done, come back, wait until the top of the hour, do more mileage.
Sounds a little foreign to some people, but trust me, once you get your mind wrapped around it, it's like, oh, this is doable.
I can tell you it is adventure for adventure's sake. That is for sure. But there's fitness involved.
Oh, yes.
And we want to be taking care of people. And one of the things we want to do with this is we want to give you information. And so what we're going to do with this quick pod today is we're going to be talking about recovery. During the event, we're going to be talking about recovery with the little bit of time we have left going up to the event.
Yep.
And then we'll talk about recovering after the event. And we have two guests coming on with us. That's right. That's right. You're an expert too. You're one of them too, because you've done these type of events before. I am the noob who will be asking the questions. So without further ado, we have our friends. Let's bring them on. They are now on screen with us. We have the famous Beth Drayer from Beth Drayer Movement.
Beth Drayer Movement!
That's right. Beth Drayer operates out of CrossFit 3.0. She is in conjunction with us. She loves to care for our athletes. She's got her own athletic trainer business, and it is called Beth Drayer Movement. We also have Paolo Stupa with us. The amazing Paolo Stupa, co-founder of Performance T. Also a championship Laker.
Shout out to the Lakers 2020.
That's right. He's happy about that. Paolo has been at our box for years and years. It is his dojo, and he is one of our leaders. And he is also deeply involved with GoRuck and Seal Fit and all things uncomfortable.
Yeah, that is our real life David Goggins at 310 right there.
That's right. Hey, welcome guys to the Quick Pod.
Thank you.
Get into it. Glad to have you guys.
Awesome to be here. Thank you.
All right. Will Jones, where are we going to start?
Where are we going to start? I'll
tell you.
Yeah.
Anyway. So we've got the event coming up. One of the catalysts for this was we were sitting around the office and we knew we were going to talk to Beth about recovery. She's just this natural part of this. We want to tap into her expertise, and she's helped so many of us in different ways. So naturally, but one of the things that was just great when we were, we spent a lot of time around here talking about the Crucible and the off hours.
Ever since it was first brought up.
That is part of the event. It's like, what are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? Are you going to wear shoes? I don't know.
What's your plan? Where are you going to go?
Yeah. But both Paolo and Will were talking about basic things that people should know about, just like recovery. And I'm like, I didn't know any of that.
Paolo's got way more experience than I do doing these, so we'll let him go ahead and start it.
Paolo, let me just ask you, how did you learn these things that you're going to be talking about today?
Trial and error.
Trial and error.
It's just, if somebody could drop some knowledge on you, that's a much better way of doing it. And what's interesting about this format is, if you've ever done, let's say a marathon or just some sort of endurance event where you're going for hours and hours, going from beginning to end is hard, but the hardest part is when you sit down and you have to relace your boots, if you will, right? Or you have to retie your shoes and then get going again from a rest period. That's even harder than getting started. That's even harder than getting going. It just is, because within seconds, your body's overriding your mind in terms of, I'm in pain. Do we really have to do this? This isn't necessary. You're great. I love you. Right. And it happens in seconds, believe it or not. So, and that's what makes this format so interesting, even though the mileage isn't, it's not a lot of miles that you're doing. It's the time that you have to rest, and the time, for your body and your mind to talk you out of doing something that you really need to do. So there's some things that you can do, so that you could stay in the game. And the idea is really not to finish through this, but to thrive and finish and really get something out of it. So rest and recovery before, during, and after are critical components to doing it. So this is more in I can give tips and tricks, but this is more in along the way in terms of what to do. But this is really in Beth's wheelhouse. She deals with people all day that have injuries. And by the way, that's the other thing, I can guarantee you, two things will kick in. One is Murphy's Law. So you're feeling great and you twist an ankle. Oof. You're feeling great, your calf cramps up. You're feeling great, something will happen along the way. So you're going to have to learn to deal with that. So always have a backup plan. And the second thing you have to deal with is time, right? And the time goes back into, oh man, I've got 30 minutes and I'm on hour 4. Yeah. I've got 8 to go or 20 to go, right? So how do you deal with that? So I think how you recover and spend that time versus watching the clock has a great deal to do with the experience you're going to have.
Yeah, thank you. Well, listen, let's get into the nitty gritty then. I really want to invite both Will and Paolo, who have done longer events, and your mindset is kind of ready for that, like tips and tricks that you've learned inside. Please interject. But Beth, let's start with, we had talked about just, we got a little more than a week and a half inside of this thing. What should people be doing from now until the event to prep their bodies and recover well?
Start prepping and recovering well. No, so yeah, particularly, make sure you start thinking about what you can eat in small doses that isn't going to get you upset stomachs and you can process pretty easily and quickly. I'm sure you guys have talked about some of this to some extent, but you don't want to be eating meals at a time. You can't eat a big meal because your body just can't digest it. It's just like any other endurance event. You're just kind of snacking your way through instead of having a big thing. So kind of start playing with foods that that you can deal with, and same thing with hydration. Some electrolytes, some waters, some performance teas that go well with your performance, keep you energized and balanced through your event. But yeah, that's probably going to be one of the biggest things to start looking at right now, and the kind of planning how you want to do that, because you don't need to eat every hour on the hour. You're not going to do that any other day. So you want to, kind of figure out how you're going to space that stuff out as you're going through the event. I know, I'm sure you guys have done with your longer events, had to figure out, how many calories you need to keep going and all that kind of stuff. I've done, the half Ironman, I had to keep eating during the bike so I could fuel the run and all that kind of stuff. And that was probably something I did not work out very well when I was doing that. So, winging it is not the way to go with this one. For sure. And And then like getting closer to the event, like 4 or 5 days, like you should be sure that you're hydrating and like super hydrated up into the event. Cause I've also started events where I was not hydrated enough beforehand and got to the middle of the event and I was like, I am like 2 quarts low on what I need right now. And so just being mindful of all those things ahead of time is going to be huge to get you through that event. Day
that
of.
that is the one, of course, like these guys all know me. So
And your lack of hydration.
yeah, you guys know. Hey, who's talking? You guys know that that is tough for me. That's something that I am thinking about all the time. So I am for sure already planning and looking at that, Paolo, because we talk about the teas and stuff like that and what some of your racers do. I've been messing around with that and just trying to drink around the day in a different way so that I can just at least have a leg up. I ran into a cramp and a calf tweak last week, so it's better I ran this last weekend and I got to get some miles in and stuff like that. So that is good, but I'm sure that it was, of course, related to the hydration. So and electrolytes. So great. How about movement wise, Beth? Is like what type of things should people be thinking of as they're prepping, and then we can kind of start moving into the day is coming?
Yeah. Obviously you want some miles in, but you can't just like stack miles in right away now. Like it's probably a little bit too close to the event to really start shoving, if you're going to do 24 hours, you can't start running, half marathons this week. You're just going to have to kind of white knuckle it at this point. But, you're going to go do a couple days where you can go 3 to 5 hours, maybe, if you're going to try to, test it out. And, between those, I would say, do in general your daily kind of mobility type stuff you're going to do. You want to be able to stretch your calves, hamstrings, quads, hip flexors, all that kind of stuff out. The other things that I do recommend for like recovery is like laying on the floor, putting your feet up against the wall and just getting everything to come down and to try to help increase that the return and get flow going for you. Is probably, and that's probably huge during the event as well, since you have that kind of time. Whereas like when you're running marathons, you're not just going to stop and put your feet up. But for this you can, and it'll help, and it'll help kind of give you your energy back into your legs as you go through it.
So let me ask you a question towards that, because that was the thing that these guys had brought up too. They're like, hey, no brainers, just the basics with that. And I'm not thinking about that at all. How long, like for somebody like me, how long do you lay upside down? Do I do it?
It doesn't need, yeah, you're going to do it for 5 minutes. Like you don't need to be doing it for the entire, 45 minutes or 30 minutes in between each run. You just 5 minutes should help get everything, just lay there and breathe, let everything come back to your core, and it kind of revives you. And then I would probably come back from your run, get a drink, kind of get your breath back, put your legs up, hang out there for 5 minutes, and then kind of go do what you're going to do to prep before your next run. So that should leave you a good 20-30 minutes before your next run anyway, and just kind of get you prepped for that next one. And you're not like jumping up and like running out the door again, because that you don't want that either. You just want to be able to kind of be ready, like you would run any mile. You want to be prepped for that any mile, like each hour for that any mile, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing with that, it's just like with like a CrossFit WOD, a tough CrossFit WOD, or one of the CrossFit Open things. After we finish, we lay down on the ground, and our feet go up. Maybe our feet are still flat on the ground, knees are bent, or we use the bench, and that's just kind of like the recovery position. So like in one form or another, we've all done it, and to Beth's point about that next a bit of time before the next one, you know, yeah, you want to get your mind going. You're not going to jump up and then start sprinting, you know, you ease into it, find your groove, maybe like, what was it, a quarter mile in or something. And then you hit your peak and then kind of just round it all out. So that way you have the continued endurance to complete the whole thing. And you're not
Sure.
just like, go, 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 and burn out.
Yeah.
So,
And to Will's point, like I wouldn't necessarily say you need to put your legs up after every one. Like I would almost do it like, this run I'm gonna do legs up. This run, after mile 1, after mile 2, I'm gonna have a little bit of a snack. After mile 3, I'm gonna like roll out my feet and maybe do it like a kind of cyclical pattern that way. So you just kind of like hit things every so often
yep.
to just kind of keep things fresh, and then and keep you fresh. Like I was looking up some of this stuff over the weekend to kind of get other ideas, and people were saying change your clothes, you just feel fresh, and for a new start. So whether you're doing the 12 or 24, pick a time. Like you don't want to, if you're doing 24, I don't know if you want to be in the same sweaty clothes for the entire 24 hours or not. Like some people might, but some people also might want to take a nap and don't want to go in their bed in their sweaty clothes and take a nap. Some people are like, let's put a sleeping bag out and just lay in my sleeping bag so I can wash it. And there was like a lot of interesting things that I was like, that I probably wouldn't have thought of. So, it depends on how you want to go about it, especially the 24-hour if you're going to start napping and such as well. So I let Paolo talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Well, I would say,
Paolo.
no, that's, I mean, all valuable information. I think the part I look at too, I think it's often overlooked is the self-talk, right? So I think while you're doing this, have some mantras, say some things that keep you going, right? So if you go into that dark place and you may, and it's part of the process, there's something that's going to keep you focused off of whatever the negativity is. And when you come back, maintain the positive self-talk, because just all you have to do is look around. It could be midnight, or 9 in the morning, and you're already spent, and you could just say, wow, I'm grateful for this, something to change the mindset. When you hear about showering and changing clothes and fueling, a lot of it's mental. It really is, right? I mean, we can go a lot further than we really can. So, I'll just make this point again. You always want to stay ahead of your hunger and your thirst, because the minute you're hungry or thirsty, you're already behind. So just stay ahead of it, even if you're not, right? That's your system working on other parts of your system, right? And then keep that self-talk, just in a positive place. It just will change the experience. So I think that's key too. And then breathing, monitor your breathing. It takes 3 minutes. You could do some box breathing during every break, and then that will reset. I think in a good way, there's a lot of focus on yoga and meditation, but I think what people don't understand is the history behind that. It's like shooting a perfect free throw. Number one, I don't think you can do it. And it takes years and years and years of practice to learn the movements and to learn when all you have to do is breathe. I can get a reaction out of you in 15 seconds on breathing, right? So that's something we all know how to do. It's something that's often overlooked. So focus on your breath when you're doing the event. When you come back to recover, do some box breathing to bring everything down. And I find that helps a lot. It slows everything down.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's good. What else? How about after? Like after we are done with the event, is it just pizza? Is it just pizza for everybody? Is it the
beers and pizza? That's at the end of every marathon. It's the craziest thing. Like
you know me, Will. It's gonna be burgers and fries. But,
you get burger, fry, pizza, pancakes, waffles, whatever.
Paolo, do you go crazy with something that some I don't know, junk food that you like after any of your events?
No, I'll throw down a couple pops. So I just, that's kind of my reward. And I just, I think more for the 24-hour than the 12, look at your pee, you pee in dark. It's not, you want to keep it clear. And yeah, I mean, I think you're probably wired, some people be wired, some people be really tired, but I think for the most part, people are wired. And I think the fun part is you'll look back and you'll say, I'm never going to do that again. And 2 days later, you're going to be looking at events that are like it, and you're going to want to do it again. I don't know what it is. It keeps pulling you back in. But I think, you know,
That's what happened with me.
yeah.
It's great. What else, guys? What is something that that you want our crew to know? You know, we've got a couple dozen people doing this with us. It's real, you know, it's our tight family. What do you want them to know?
I mean, I think to Paolo's point, like each person is different as far as like afterwards, but like you also have to realize like if you're doing the 24 hours, that's a minimum of 24 miles that you're doing basically, right? So like you basically just run a marathon. What would you normally do after a marathon? Like I know when I did it, the last thing I wanted to do actually was like sit because I knew I wasn't going to get back up. Like I actually kind of wanted to keep moving for a little bit and just kind of get that like bring the system down kind of thing. And like I didn't want to sleep right away. Like I was tired, but it wasn't like this is the end of my life kind of thing. So I wanted to keep moving. Each person is different, but like I wanted to get something to eat, like that was gonna actually like refuel me and not just be like burgers and fries as much as I wanted burgers and fries, but like something that was gonna help me. And then later on, you can go and do that, right?
Yeah,
like
for sure.
it's just like a WOD, like Will said, you know, you're not going to go eat the burger and fries right after the WOD. You're going to, a lot of people have like their shakes or whatever they're going to do to like actually replenish their system. And I think, you know, like Paolo said, watch your pee and kind of replenish yourself and then go celebrate that you did something cool for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
I want to add one
Yeah.
quick point. So in preparation for all this, I believe that we need to look into ourselves, right? I mean, for some people, this is like, oh my goodness, like I'm chewing or I'm biting off a big piece, but if you look back in your life on the difficult moments and what pushed you through there, that's where we should be looking. It's like, okay, how did I get through that? How did I fuel my body? What was my mindset like? Like all these things will help in future. You know what I'm saying? Like the hard times that we've all been through help us get through the hard times that are still to come. So just have faith in yourself, have faith in your body and everything that you just have going on, and know that no matter what, you will find a way. Like Paolo told me last week, find a way. And
I agree with you, Will. It's like Chris and I were talking. He's like, what's your why for doing it? That was a big thing for me. He's like, why did you decide to do that? Just keep that in your head, and that's your go. So
yep. One of my, it's funny. My big why is you guys. My big why is I want to participate with people. If it was just me, I wouldn't do it. And that's not a bad thing for me. I want to surround myself with people who will be constantly pulling me towards something I wouldn't naturally go towards myself. But I've been training all by myself, and that's not a bad thing either. I'm hoping for a little bump, a social bump when I get around some other people. And that's another thing that we're all kind of talking about. Oh, well, are you going to go with other people? Where's your loop? Are you going to do the same loop? You're going to meet with these people here. You're going to go by yourself for a little while here. You're going to, there's all these things to figure out in the next few days.
I think that's an important part of it. And I think it's a big reason for all of us to be doing it. And I remember when I did 29.029, every time you did a run up the mountain, you would come back and you would have a stamp that you put, into this. So I think at least for now, we're kicking around the idea of having that virtual stamp be the spreadsheet. So when you finish, you log in, and we're all going to be connected. We'll figure it out, whether it's text or whatever. But yeah, because we're all going to need it at some point, or we're all going to want to give it. If you got it, you got to give it. If you need it, then there are people around that are, and that's just the way this thing should flow.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much. Just want to, like, some of the things that we heard inside of there to sum up some of the ideas. These are not all of them, but learning or experimenting right now about eating in small doses and taking in fluids and electrolytes. super hydrate before the event, meaning, and you can clarify if need be, but hydrate more than you normally would. You're intentional about hydrating more than you normally would because you're about to do more than you normally would. So just hedging that bet. Shower in clothes. Do it.
Jump in the ocean. It'll be fine.
I hate being in sweaty clothes. So I was so shocked when I went 3-4 hours in a row without doing it. I was like, I think I'm going to need 12 changes of clothes. I'm a peculiar person, guys. Okay, anyway, stay ahead of your hunger and thirst, because as soon as you find yourself hungry and thirsty, the body is likely already behind. And then Paolo mentioned mantras, having something like, your why, how to talk to yourself, and talking about something that you're grateful for even when you are uncomfortable. And then you had mentioned box breathing. We talked about feet up. That's it. That's the list.
Have fun. Overall, have fun.
That is what we are trying to do. We are trying to get uncomfortable and have fun with some people doing some hard things. Beth, what were you about to say?
No, talking about the mantra, it just sort of came up and it came in my head. I'm like, is there like a song or like something that you play? And this is actually to, like, Paolo and Will, like, as you've gone through events like this, like, is there a particular song that you have that's your go-to that gets you through? Like, because I was just thinking, because I don't normally run with music, but then I was like, well, maybe like if I just had like a couple songs that I knew how long it was and that kind of like timed it out for me or something. Like, now I'm just sort of like thinking about some other things. But
are you guys going sans music?
With or without music?
Are you going with or without music?
Without.
Paolo?
Without. Everything I've done has been without, and that's where the mantras come in, because you can come up with, and Will knows for being in the service, they're called cadences, right? And before you know it, you've said it 15 times and your mind's off. Got a blister, right? Or I'm cold, or I'm hungry, or whatever. And you can come up with so many, creative ones. It's infinite. One of my favorites is every day in every way I'm getting better and better. So I've turned that into every day when I'm doing an event. Every day in every way I'm becoming more resilient, stronger, and faster. And I'll say that maybe literally hundreds of times, and before you know it, I'm becoming those things, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can put these things together, and they don't just work in endurance rate. They work in a WOD. They work when you're in a stressful meeting. There's a lot of ways to put them into play, but get creative with them. The Find a Way I got from, I can't remember the gal's name, amazing. I think she was 65. She swam first person from Florida to Cuba, and gnarly tides. I mean, sharks, jellyfish. I mean, you name it. I mean, she had everything going against her, and that is what her mantra was: find a way. So it doesn't have to be elaborate or long. It can be very short and very meaningful.
Absolutely.
Awesome, guys. Well, we just brought it in just under 15 minutes. So we've made it. We did a good job. And all right, you guys. Thank you very much, Beth Drayer, Paolo Stupa, Will Jones.
Hello.
I love you guys. Thanks for pushing me, and thanks for the information for all of our crew.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
310, we out. Peace.
Yep.
Kablamo! Explosions.